Welcome to another episode of Anywhere the Needle Drops. I am your host, Justin Flegel. Welcome to the show. Welcome old guests, welcome new guests. If you are new to the show, what we do here is talk about the local, the regional, and sometimes even the national music scene. We focus in heavily here on Michiana because Michiana, as we discussed in this episode, is where it's at. There's so much cool stuff going on. And speaking of cool, my guest today is Corey Ronell, R&B artist, doing some amazing things and recently coming off just a really incredible experience. We will tell that story, but it's all circling around this track that he just released called Don't Stay. And, you'll hear in the music, Corey is incredibly talented and such a cool human as well. And, out there doing the work and making the connections and just doing big things. It's awesome. And some big things happened around this track. And we're glad to have him here to not only tell us that story, but just tell the story of his life in music and in general, kind of the things that inspire him and inspire his art. We have some real good talks about some hard subjects like divorce and that sort of thing as well. So stick around. You're going to get to hear Don't Stay, and you're going to hear a great conversation with Corey Ronell.
Watching a movie, seen your phone ring. Is it him? And wow, I feel real dumb right now. What am I doing? Why am I here? Yeah. Cause he told me that you love me, and he wasn't the right one, but I was. But your actions say you're different. I'm ready to go, but I don't know. But he's doing you wrong and you wanna walk away. Yeah, time spent on my patience drain. I really wanna stay, I swear I do. And at the same time, don't wanna stay. I really wanna stay. I don't really wanna go. But I really don't wanna stay. I don't know what to do. I really wanna go. Everything that I could ask for and more. But why do I feel the way I do? No, I'm not worthy of your presence. See, but the man you with, he ain't doing you right. So I don't know how long I can wait for you. You don't want me to go. There's only room for two. Time spent on my patience drain. I really want to stay. I swear I do, but at the same time I don't want to stay. I really want to go. I really want to go. But I really don't want to stay. I'm so confused. I really want to go. Never made a decision. But I really don't want to stay. And I can't take it no more. Please, baby, I really wanna go. No, baby, I wanna stay. Does he compliment you? Tell your eyes they look beautiful. Does he make you breakfast in bed? Get your hair did. When's the last time you noticed that? I notice everything, yeah. My favorite color is coral. Lip dimple every time you smile. Wanna talk when you get mad. If the man doesn't know this, he ain't worth the time. Better believe it ain't nothing
All right, Corey. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
all
to
right.
be here.
Yeah. So, we'll get into the new single and all that kind of a thing. But besides that, what else has been going on in your musical world? Is that kind of the main thing? Or?
I mean, that's a lot of it.
Yeah. Not that that's a small thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of it, man. Outside of being an artist, man, I'm, forever songwriting, vocal production for a lot of different artists.
Yeah.
Mainly underground, art, independent artists.
Yeah.
But I've had opportunities with Justin Timberlake, Chris Brown, Rico Love, Justin Bieber. Who else have I had an opportunity? I want to say that's it.
I mean, that's not nothing right there. So
yeah, I mean,
that's it. You know?
I haven't had any placements yet, but
Sure.
I mean, but just the fact to be connected to those different people is really, really, really dope.
Yeah. Well, and it's cool because you're doing, you see it with so many musicians, but especially when you're making it happen because you're doing your own stuff, you're doing your own recordings, but you're also doing like the behind the scenes work, the songwriting and the collaboration, the stuff you've been working on with Abby, that kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, you've built the whole spectrum of the career into what you're doing, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So what was it that led you in your life to pursuing music?
Honestly, it's a family thing. It's a family situation.
Okay.
So my dad, which it'll be 6 years at the end of this month, actually, that he's been gone. He passed away from kidney cancer.
Oh, okay.
But he was a independent gospel artist.
Okay.
So I've seen him travel all across the world, traveled with him, singing background for him as well.
Nice. Okay.
So like I've grown up in it, man. I have aunts, uncles, cousins that have, sang background or travel with gospel artists in the industry. So I've just kind of grown up in it, man, and just happened to be from little bitty old South Bend, Indiana.
Yeah. Now, was your dad always from this area? Or
Yep.
Okay.
Born and raised. His dad was a blues singer.
Okay.
So it just kind of passed down to me. My sister, she kind of doesn't really she can sing background, my mom does too, but as far as singing, it's just always been me and my dad. So that's where I kind of just get it from, and that's where it started.
That's awesome. Yeah. So your sister, did she just decide she wanted to go on another path? Or,
my sister's different. I love my sister. She's she does her own thing, which is really cool. But singing, she'll tell you that's not her. She'll leave that up to me. But but no, she does other stuff, event planning, all types of things. She does that type of thing.
That's cool. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's music, but it is also a business, and not everyone wants to go into the family business.
Absolutely. But yeah, man. I want to say ever since I was maybe 5 years old, I can remember my parents telling me, and sitting in the background, I'm harmonizing to church music, sitting in the back seat. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of thing. I see pictures. There's a picture of me literally standing on the communion table at church, of them having me sing and in front of people at church. This is crazy. So
up there on the community table to get some elevation.
Yep, to get some elevation. So I can get to the mic.
That's amazing. That's
so
good.
yeah, man. So I just got it honest.
Yeah. Was it always a career direction, or was it just strictly like this is what we do, then it eventually became career? Like what? How did that go for you?
I really didn't think that it could be. Growing up and watching my dad travel and do it, I never really thought anything of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I was focused on trying to play basketball or play football or whatever. Like, and I've always sang. I even tried to play drums, tried to play the keys and all that. But singing was something that always kind of stuck.
Yeah.
But it didn't really hit me until maybe I was 18, 19 years old, and I got offered a record deal for a record company, an independent record company.
Now, how's that come about? You just out there doing your thing?
Just knowing people.
Okay.
The guy that was spearheading that label, I was very close with him. Now he helps out a lot of big YouTubers now.
Okay.
And so his name is Floyd Thomas. He's doing his thing, like coming out with #1 records, like all types of stuff.
Okay.
Billboard, everything.
Yeah.
But he's from South Bend, Indiana, but now he's down in Texas right now. But signed his label, had opportunities with Universal, Sony, but we just really didn't get that off the ground like we wanted to. But I was signed to that label. From that label, me and one of my friends, Wayne Starks, he is currently doing this thing as well too. We're the only two that kind of stuck with it.
Okay.
But that was my first like deal that I ever had, and getting out there, man.
So that kind of got you, into the business, and I imagine probably got you some connections and that kind of a thing.
It
or at least
definitely
showed you
did.
the ropes.
No, for sure. And I think that was more so than anything is showing me the ropes, how to be an artist, how to, walk around as an artist, even going out to the grocery store, look presentable type of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So like it got me in the mindset of what does an artist look like? Outside of even just singing, you know what I'm saying? So just the mold of an artist. And then when you get back to the whole singing aspect, what does it look like to arrange vocals? What does it look like to paint the picture around that lead vocal, meaning the background singing? How can you make a record, a real song? Like it's not just lyrics, but it's also, the music, the melodies, the harmonies, so how do you paint that picture? So that's what being with that label taught me.
Yeah. Now, when you were offered that label, was Dad still around at that point, or?
Yeah, it definitely was.
Okay.
I think I want to say it was like a 3-4 year type deal.
Okay. So, I mean, you're coming from this background with, this family history. Is your dad looking at you going into music like, yay, son, go do it, pride? Or is it like, is there some hesitation? Is like, I know the good and the bad of that. I want you to go do your own thing. Like, what's the reaction from the family?
It definitely was a hesitation with him. My mom has always been, hey, go get it. But my dad, with him, it was, I've had stumbling blocks. I've definitely come to a fork in the road where I had to make a decision. Do I go left? Do I go right? Can I trust this person? Can I trust that person? So with my dad, it was, okay, cool. You love music. I know you do, but let's have a backup plan. You need to get your degree. Or, hey, I know you like to sing gospel. You sing gospel with me, and now you're doing R&B. You're kind of treading a fine line. You're talking about love, but then, so it was always like a tug and pull. With my dad, but I get it. He just wanted the best for me. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like I had to carve my own path and have my own niche. And I even say it to this day, like, and I still worship lead at my church. But I'm not him, So I think I know my path is definitely different than his. And like I said, I still say it to this day, like I'm not Ron Bishop, and people will laugh at that, but that's just, I'm just totally different. But I had that same drive that he did, and he would always tell me, you have a greater gift than I do. So I want you to...
That's props right there.
Right.
Yeah.
I want you to supersede. You're supposed to supersede what I've done. And so, I just had my birthday the other day, and I've done a lot in my career already. So it's really a blessing, man.
Happy belated birthday, by the way.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
So the juxtaposition between gospel and R&B. So it sounds like faith is still a big part of your life. Absolutely. It's just not necessarily what you're going through with your art. So was there I'm drawing a blank on the word. Was that an intentional moment, I guess, to make that change, or was that just sort of where you found yourself artistically? So,
and with me still having that, that Christian faith and that Christian background, I still make clean R&B music. So I want that music to transcend from, teenage years all the way up to, 90 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like I want it to be able to touch everybody. I don't want to have to put, and no disrespect to anybody else, but I don't want to have to put parental advisory on my music. I want to be able to talk about love, talk about relationships, talk about the ups and downs of life, so that people can understand that, people that also have a faith go through the same thing as the next person that maybe, don't have a faith.
Yeah.
We still struggle in certain areas at the same time. Like we're still people, we're still human. We still go through the same things every single day. So that's been my message. And then when people are able to meet me, not to my own horn, but I thank God that, I've been able to stay grounded and stay humble and, be able to show, yeah, I love and live for God, and I can still, meet you where you are and give you advice and stuff. And that's how I've always been with my friends. I have a lot of friends that can call me and say, hey man, like I need to talk, like I need some advice with, XYZ. And I think it kind of just hit me one day when I was kind of starting my career. I'm like, this is what my music is intended to do. It's intended to kind of just steer people in the right direction and to show them like, hey, we all go through the same stuff. This is how I dealt with it.
Yeah.
This is what you can do to come out of that situation. Or you're in love. Hey, let's talk about it. What kind of love do you, what kind of love language do you have? Or, I like to just go out and have a good time. So let's make a song about just having a good time, dancing in the park, or, whatever the case may be, So that's the type of music that I like to make.
Yeah. Well, and there's so much to be said for music. I mean, the reason why we do this show, the reason I'm such a music fan is, there's no better way to communicate a story or a feeling or a theme than through music. You can take so much that would otherwise take so many words or so many images. Sure. And you can kind of just put it in this distilled form, the form of music. I mean, it's universal.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you said your dad was encouraging you, well, get with the backup plan, get a college degree. Did you actually take that path?
I did.
Okay,
I did.
right,
so I do have my degree.
Nice, all right.
I majored in computer technology at IUPUI in Indy. So,
okay, all right.
Yep, I did get my degree. Was it what I wanted to do? Nah, not really. And I always said I wanted to go to college, but after I figured out that music is what I really wanted to do, I just kind of lost my way a little bit. So I even took off some time, from school because I'm just like, I really don't know what I want to do, or I was there longer than I anticipated because I didn't have the motivation because music was really all that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So in hindsight, like I feel like I would always say, like, I feel like I wasted my time with school, but at the same time, like, I feel like a lot of things in my life wouldn't have happened if I did not go to college.
Yeah, totally.
So,
yeah, I mean, it may not be about the degree, but the person you became during that time through those experiences and all that. And, there's nothing wrong with being hesitant about it. I mean, it's so expensive to go to school. It
is. I'm still paying back loans.
Yeah, right. and I mean, it's definitely something. I mean, I think we're of a similar generation where we were told, like, no, you go to college, that's what you do. Yeah. And now I think as a culture, we're shifting back a little bit on that. It's like, well, you should do something, but like only if college is the thing that gets you to the next thing.
Absolutely.
You're like, do that assessment because it does cost money.
Absolutely.
And a lot of money,
my oldest son is 9, and we talk about college because he's like, I want to play basketball in college. And crazy enough, he's 9 and is a phenomenal athlete. Like, he can just do everything, and just like, this is mind blowing. But anyways, I in that regards, like I tell him, like, if you want to go to college, cool. Like, if you want to be full blown in it, then pursue it. You know, go all out. But I don't want to make him do that. But at the same time, still have a plan of what you want to do with your life. Yeah,
definitely.
I definitely want to still make sure that he has a good head on the shoulders so that he knows, I can make my decision. Because I don't ever want to, I feel like I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And I just turned 39. So coming up, back in the day, it was just, you did whatever your parents wanted you to do.
Sure. Yeah.
I always wanted to please my parents. So my dad's like, I want you to get a degree. Okay, Dad, I don't want to do it, but I'll do it.
That's what you're supposed to do, right?
Right. Yep. And I was the first one in my family too to graduate from college, to go to school and graduate.
Nice. Okay.
So I'm first generation. So I think that was really huge for him too. Him wanting to see that. So it is what it is. But
yeah. Well, and I think there's this whole generational thing, where we were told, all these boxes we need to check across our lives to, be doing it the right way. And then we've lived through a couple of things in our time as we reached adulthood where we were like, we did all that right stuff, and we kind of still, we had that 08 recession and COVID and just all sorts of other things going on. And then I remember I bought my first house at 25, 26, because, that was the smart move to make. And it was like 6 months later, the entire economy collapsed, and I was laid off, and the house was underwater. And I was like, I did all the right things. What's going on?
Exactly. Exactly. It just don't always pan out like that. But like you said, like it was always written in life where we had to check certain boxes off.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I think you're definitely seeing it in Gen Z. And I think as, our generation is raising kids, you're seeing something more optimistic, maybe,
sure.
like if you are into this thing, go for it. But again, also like have that practical backup plan or find the way to practically do it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's so does I know he's only 9. Does he have his backup plan yet? I mean, besides basketball, or
so it's either basketball or football. He does well in both. He was playing baseball, but he's like, Dad, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. But he always says he wants to be a singer just like me. I was gonna produce.
Got the music bug, all right.
So he'll sometimes when I'm even just sitting in the studio recording or either mixing or whatever, he's right there, with me sitting in the chair, just taking it all in and seeing how things work and whatnot. But
yeah, well, that's such a fascinating world too. You walk into that room and you got all those lights and those dials and buttons and stuff like that, and it's just like, whoa,
exactly.
My buddy just built his studio down the. He's actually the sound guy for the show, Paul. Just built his studio down the road, and I just remember walking in there the other day when he was doing a little tour of it, and just seeing that giant control panel, and just like being like a kid again, like looking at all those buttons and lights. I'm like, this is neat,
right?
So
go and just touch everything.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. You got it. So how much of your workload is like producing for other folks, that kind of thing?
I'll probably say half and half.
Okay. Nice.
I have a lot of artist friends that are in the city that come to me to record, or they'll record somewhere else and they'll send their stuff to me to, tweak some things or whatnot.
Yeah.
But a lot of people actually would prefer just to come to my house in my studio there to actually record. So there's no, there's nothing that really needs to be tweaked elsewhere.
Sure.
And could just, all be done in house.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool, yeah. So as far as, you've mentioned a little bit, but are there any particular kind of, themes, or like when you're writing your music, you talked a lot about love, and I mean, are you when you sit down to write, do you have a particular idea in mind, like I want to give this message or tell this story? Like, where does it begin for you when you sit down to write a new song?
Honestly, it kind of is just what's in the moment. A lot of times I can hear a track, and normally I'm a track driven person. I can definitely write outside of not hearing the beat or the track first.
Yeah.
But I'm a track driven songwriter. So whatever that vibe is giving me in that moment, that's what kind of gives me the urge to, get a certain topic to talk about.
Sure.
And then too, what's going on at that time in my life, what would fit that beat. So if I'm, for instance, my first album came after my first divorce. And so I had tons of stuff that I could talk about at the time. But when I started getting these different tracks in from different producers and stuff, I'm like, okay, I want to talk about how, this situation in my marriage wasn't right, so let's put that on this slower, dramatic type record. You know what I'm saying? I think that would make that feel a lot better. There's an upbeat song on that album called You and I, where I just talk about how life was great, but I got to move on. Yeah. It was upbeat because I talked about how everything was great, with me and that person. Yeah. But then, it talked about the downfall as well, but it's an upbeat type song. So it just depends. It depends on what I'm going on, or what's going on in life at the time that I get the track, and then I just kind of go from there.
Yeah. So that particular subject hits me pretty heavily because I just went through a divorce myself. I'm roughly, I mean, not even from the finalization 6 months out, but the leaving and everything like that. And I think, in general, it's a topic that, feels and I think is portrayed so much as a failure, and so when you're writing about that topic, you mentioned finding the joy in it, like that upbeat song, finding, I mean, because we make these choices for a reason. Typically we don't, we're hopefully moving towards something better.
Sure.
So what was that like writing about that?
It definitely, and I'll speak for one of the other songs, the slower song that kind of talked about, not being hurt anymore and me finally walking away and stepping away from it. So that one, I had to put myself back in the situation, like mentally.
Sure. Yeah.
So writing that record, it broke me down. That was actually the first song, and we were still living together at the point when we were going through our divorce.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So I recorded that song in the house in the basement at the time, and I had to put my mind back into when I was hurt. And that's where that inspiration came from of that song. So it's tough putting yourself back in those situations, because I can remember being in that situation where I didn't want to be here anymore. I didn't want to live anymore, but I was able to find encouragement and find inspiration through my son that had just been born at the time, my oldest. And I'm just like, I have a purpose, like not only for myself, but he's my purpose. Yeah. Because who gets married to get a divorce? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that was putting myself back into the situation. It was definitely hurtful doing it, and you definitely have to have a moment too. Like I've definitely had moments in a song where I'm like, okay, I got to take a step back.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then come back to it. Yeah.
Was there any kind of, catharsis from putting those feelings in that situation, into your art space? Did that help you with any kind of level of coping or anything like that?
It definitely did. Yeah. I think because I really wasn't a talker. Like when I was going through everything, man, I shut off everybody.
Yeah.
So I think for me, getting that out was definitely a way to cope with it, and for me to talk to somebody about it.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure, yeah.
So my music was definitely an outlet, and you can hear that throughout that album. It was a 8-song album that I put out. But you can definitely hear it, coming out of, each of those records.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, was there, especially coming from a faith background, was there any, did you feel the need to hide any of that, or the shame around that? Or,
you know what? I don't think it was necessarily hiding. However, you know how you can get hurt from that type of relationship, and even if it wasn't your fault, you hear about other people bad mouthing the other person.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
Yeah.
I wanted to.
Oh,
as much as I was pissed off.
Yep.
I wanted to so bad, but the type of person I am, I don't have that character.
Yeah.
And I really believe, and not to keep going back to faith, because I don't know your faith background, but I really believe that, God just opened up a lot of things for me. To move forward, because I didn't do that. He's like, you know what? You respected, your relationship and that other person. So I'm going to open this door for you to walk through.
Certainly.
I'm going to give you this blessing and give you this favor on your life, because, you didn't have to blast anything to anybody.
Sure.
And even, maybe 2 or 3 years after my divorce, people didn't even know I was divorced, because I never really talked about it.
Yeah.
I never, like I said, I never badmouthed her, or never spoke on it to anybody other than people that were really close to me, at some point in time. But
sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of just chilled out, man.
I think there's something really right in that. I think we go through this thing, and all relationships where it's almost like when a relationship ends, regardless if it's marriage or just a girlfriend or whatnot, that somehow that person's supposed to become our enemy. And I've never bought into that, you know. So I've tried, and not always succeeded, but tried to keep that in mind through this process. But it is one of those things where just unless you've been through it, I don't think you can possibly understand it. No one can get it, and your friends can be there for you as much as they want to, but if they haven't been through it, there's just
it's hard. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough for them to really. I mean, and they hurt because you hurt.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's still a different situation. Like
Yep.
I can talk to you about it all day, but if you haven't gone through it, you will never feel what I feel.
Yeah, and if they're friends of both of you, especially, they want to be there for both of you,
Yep.
and it's like they're.
Yep.
It's yeah.
Yep.
Was that something like the family? Were they kind of a backup support for you in that?
They definitely were.
Yeah.
And I think it took a minute for them to kind of, just like me, kind of rebound from what happened.
Yeah.
But they definitely were. And to your comment just about not necessarily hating that person or feeling any type of way. Like me and my oldest mom, like my ex, we co-parent very well.
Yeah.
Very well. So we have a good relationship, for our son and whatnot. So I would encourage those that, are in that situation, try to find that balance, between you and your ex if you have children, because it's very important that they don't feel the effect of that divorce. Granted, my son was only 2, or he was getting ready to be 2 when our divorce finalized. But now that he's older, he's had questions.
Sure. Yeah.
Why did this happen? Or how come you guys don't live together? Or I want you guys to still be together. And we're like, you got to understand, like, we both love you very much, but we love each other as friends.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is. We are better, where we're at now. But that doesn't take away from how much we love you, how much we work together to make sure that you have what you need to have. So like I said, so I encourage everybody that's going through that. And again, that's a lot of what my music is about, is just to encourage people that we all go through the same stuff, and there are certain ways to handle different things. And
so. I think even if there aren't kids involved, I think that's still the healthiest way for everybody involved.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and especially with the whole friend thing, y'all have the same friends too, so you don't want to put your friends in between.
Mm-hmm.
So the best thing to do is just to move forward, move on, and just live your life.
We're all just humans trying to get by, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. This is a relationship talk with Justin and Corey. So,
all right.
I guess I took us on a tangent there.
For sure.
So how much? When you're writing, how much does is it always sort of biographical, real life stuff like that, or are you sometimes plunging into areas that aren't necessarily like things you've lived, but things you want to say? Like, what's the?
Absolutely, I can even go into saying even other things that other people are going through too. I can talk about those type of things as well. I have a record called Long Distance.
Mm-hmm.
That is on my last project, Corey Ronell, the EP. That was the first song on the EP, and it was the single that led it. But it's a nice skating record, a nice skating song.
Yeah.
But it's called Long Distance, having a long distance relationship with somebody, trying to figure out if you can still do it because it's a long distance relationship.
Sure, yeah.
But ultimately just saying that, hey, I can handle the long distance relationship if you can. Let's make it work, type of thing. And it's a fun, vibrant, upbeat song.
Yeah.
So anything that can make people feel good, I'll definitely touch on those aspects as well.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Love it. So how often in your work, I guess going back a little bit, we live in this area where I think I'm personally fascinated by the local music scene. I think there's something very special going on here. And I met you through collaboration. So how often is your work, in that, kind of plugging into this local scene that we have? Like, what's that like for you out there?
I know a lot of the artists that are in this area. So if people are willing to definitely collaborate, I'm definitely down. My whole thing is though, and not everybody has this outlook. If I'm going to put my name on something, you're going to get the best work that I have because my name is on it. A lot of people just want to collaborate with somebody just to say I collaborate with them.
Get that name on there.
Just get the name out there, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm putting the same thing, if I'm producing somebody in that type of collaboration, like I want to make sure that, hey, Corey Ronell, did he write that or he featured on that song or whatever the case may be? Like, you're going to get my absolute best.
Sure, yeah.
And that's how I'm able to to continue to collaborate with other people in the city because, I'm not going to do anything.
Sure.
But I love to collab with different artists, man. And it's really been easy, just with the simple fact that it's very easy for me to communicate and talk with other people and like-minded creatives just like me. We're able to easily, like I said, easily collaborate and work together.
Yeah. Well, and it seems like from the outside, I'm not a musician, but it seems like from the outside, just doing what I do, it seems like a very uplifting, encouraging scene. Mm-hmm. Most
Absolutely.
People, there's always egos, but most people seem to be out there rooting for your success, and you're rooting for their success, and everyone's doing what they can to help each other out. It's like we're this, this little music scene that could kind of thing,
Right.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is, it didn't used to be like that in South Bend, and everybody was always butting heads and whatnot. But you find now, I just got done performing at the Vibes Festival this past weekend, and it was so many different creatives that were cheering each other on.
Yeah.
Everybody at the front of the stage for everybody's different performances and posting videos and tagging everybody.
Sure, yeah.
So I think more so now than it's ever been, you're starting to see, people rooting everybody on, and it's not, any hate or anything or negative energy towards anybody. It's just, we're all on the same.
What do you think it was that changed that, though? From the old thing.
To be honest with you, I don't know. I think for me, a lot of the artists that I kind of, work with and whatnot, we all came up together. So I think for all of us to come up together and know each other that way, I think that's kind of opened the door for other people to be a little bit more open when working with somebody else or, trying to be cool or just have a relationship with other artists, because like I said, a lot of us have grown up together, and so we do a lot of different shows throughout the city or just events in general, and you start to see some of the same people in the same rooms. And so the next artist that may not know can be like, man, this is cool. Like, I see Corey, I see Trey Marquise, I see Abby, from Abby Music, doing like together, like, this is really dope. This is really cool. So let me try to figure out, how I can get in. And it's really just about creating relationships.
Totally.
And a lot of times it may not even be about music. It can just be, hey, how you doing? What's going on? How's life?
Yeah.
And then that turns into, the music scene then,
Totally. And I love so much what you see going on with like going down the Rocky Button, and you walk into a room like that, and it's not just a music space, it's an art space. It's almost like a scene space.
Yeah.
And you just feel like you feel comfortable going in there, and you see the artists down there all the time, whether or not they're actually performing, they're just down there hanging out.
Exactly.
Because that's the place to be. When I meet someone new like you, and I find you on the socials, and I'm like, oh, he knows like these other dozen people from the scene that I already know. It's like this, I just keep on like uncovering like great people here and there,
Yep.
So,
and that's how it was with Abby, man. Like I used to play in a cover band, and I found out that some guys in the cover band knew who she was, and she would come to some of our shows, and I'm like, and then she came back around and was like, hey, I got this song that I want to do, blah, blah, blah. I thought about you, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Because at the time, like, I didn't know she did music or anything, when I first met her. So, yeah, it's crazy, like, how much, how many people we know through other people.
Sure. Yep.
It's just this small community, like, you never think about it.
Yeah. So you're out there, you're working with people from outside the scene, though. Are there any of them that are like looking over here, like, what the hell's going on in South Bend? Is there like a?
You know what? I think so, though. And to be honest, I don't know. Have you heard of October London?
No.
So October London is from South Bend. He's signed to Snoop Dogg.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
He's from South Bend. Was just nominated for a couple of Grammys and everything. So he's like the guy right now that's kind of putting on for South Bend.
Yeah.
One of my closest friends, Mickey Miller. She's also a R&B like new age artist. She knows some of everybody in the industry as well.
Nice.
The Roots, Jazzy Jeff from Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
He has a I want to say symposium. Like a retreat that he does for independent artists at his house, like every so often. And he's invited her to come. She's been out there to his house and all types of stuff to meet different people and different creatives and stuff. But when we get a chance to do these different things, they're like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "South Bend." They're like, "Man, where are all these artists coming out from? From South Bend?" So, and then I think with us being so close to Chicago as well, a lot of them think we're from Chicago. Yeah. So they associate, the two cities or whatnot. But yeah, man, the South Bend area is definitely on the climb. And now that a lot of these artists are getting out there, there's a lot more light that's shining in on the city.
Totally. Yeah. So for you personally, what are some victories you've had over the course of your career? I mean, what is your definition of success? Like, what does that look like for you?
That's a loaded question, man.
It is, totally. That's what I'm here for.
So for me, I don't ever think I will ever reach a total success. Accomplishments, yes.
Yeah. I mean, so what are some victories you've already achieved?
Okay, so I'll tell you this. I've gone from seeing my first Grammy. So I'm sure you're familiar with Kirk Franklin, gospel artist.
Yep.
I was able to record in his studio down in Dallas, Texas.
Nice.
A lot of his producers and writers and whatnot, they all work out of the studio. Well, I also travel with a songwriting team and a production team called The Cookout. So we go all across the country and we work with independent artists, helping them finish songs. We also write for other major artists. One of the songs that I have out right now is called Feels. That song was actually for Justin Timberlake, but we missed the deadline. To send it to him, but that's where it came from. It came from this collective that we have that we travel all over the country.
Yeah, okay.
So anyways, we were in Kirk Franklin's studio and I saw my first Grammy. And this was 2022. Yes. And so I'm like, you know what? Like, I've been putting in all this work. Like, eventually I'm going to see my first Grammy here soon. So then last year I was actually considered for a Grammy.
Amazing, yeah.
From the same group, the Cookout, we came out with a compilation album. Yeah. And that song that I wrote for Justin Timberlake was also featured on this album. And so I was I was considered for a Grammy. We didn't get the nom. Sure. But we were in consideration for the Grammy for that album. So I was on there as an artist and as a songwriter.
That's amazing.
So to see that manifest from me seeing a Grammy to now being considered for one. Now I'm like, okay, when am I going to get my Grammy? When am I going to get nominated for that Grammy now? So like, I keep speaking it, I'm going to get my Grammy. Like, I'm going to get it. So like, being able to see that and then be considered for it is crazy. And then also, I got my gold plaque for that album as well. So we reached 500,000 streams. Yeah. So I got a plaque in the mail for that too, man. So that was exciting.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, and people, I don't know if everyone necessarily realizes how that whole world works, with the Grammys or with any kind of awards, I've had the Bergamot in here, and right around that time they were out there doing the Oscar push for their documentary, State of the Unity. Yeah. And I don't think a lot of people realize that they were literally out there campaigning to be nominated. Like, you have to it's not just like your work's just sitting there and someone comes along and like, that's real good, right, we're gonna let's throw that into the running. Like, there's a whole machination behind it. Absolutely. Right, so the fact that you got to that is that's a true victory. It's a step on that path.
It definitely is. That's what I'm saying. So like, it's definitely a part of the success, but I don't even the levels of success that you can potentially get, like, I don't think I'll ever reach like full success, because I just feel like I just keep climbing higher and higher and higher. You know what I'm saying? I don't think there's a ceiling. I don't think there's a cap to success.
Well, and that keeps you hungry and it keeps you young,
Absolutely.
Like, the last thing I ever want to do is achieve everything I ever wanted. Like, if I'm not adding new things to that list, I don't want to. I want to be adding more things to that list that I'm checking off.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Always something to go for.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And one of the reasons we started talking today is because you got this new single. Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about this.
So Don't Stay. So with that, it was actually an unreleased record. So I also, with me songwriting, I build my catalog. So I'm sitting, my hard drive has hundreds of songs on it. So I was on Timbaland, which is one of the most world-renowned producers.
Yep.
Produced for some of everybody. You know, Black Eyed Peas, Justin Timberlake, Jay-Z, Kanye. I mean, some of everybody. I went on his live that he had on Instagram and TikTok.
Nice.
And I got picked to play some of my music for him. And so what he does is he brings you onto the live and he critiques your music right there. If he doesn't like it, he's going to tell you.
Sure.
Like, this is trash, bro.
Yeah.
And then, like, and it makes it fun because he puts all these little excerpts in from, like, movies or, you know, TV shows or whatnot. Say, you know, all right, bye-bye. And then he'll hang up on you. Like, it's hilarious. It's so funny to watch. And even though, like, that was my first time on there, like, I just tune in just to watch it because it's hilarious.
Yeah.
You know, some people have good music, some people don't, some people have all right music, but it's cool that he gets on and he critiques it.
Yeah.
So if you're bad, he'll kick you off, whatever.
He's gonna get that hook, get the Apollo, and just
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
If you're okay, he'll tell you okay, but then he'll tell you what you need to work on.
Yeah.
But if he's like, you know, crazy about you, he's gonna tell you, and then also he'll give you his contact information, like, hey, here's my contact info, you know, I want to stay connected, yada yada yada.
Sure, yeah.
So he brings me on. First off,
and for how does he even find you, or how do you find him? How do you get into this?
So on his page there is a link that you can say, hey, I want to send some music for you to critique.
Okay, yeah.
I was like, you know what, I'll do it. He probably won't pick me to get on, but
never a bad idea to ask.
Right.
Yep.
So I'm like, let's do it. So I was talking to my wife about it. I was like, you think I should do it? She said, yeah, just go ahead. Why not?
Yeah.
So
my favorite musician has been on this show twice, only because one day I was like, well, all they can do is not respond or say
right,
no.
or say no. Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
So,
and that's what it's about, man. Yep. So I did it, and they brought me on like maybe an hour later. And
that's quick.
Right. And I'm very tech savvy. So, you know, like, I can pretty much figure out anything tech wise, right?
Yeah.
I could not figure out how to get my face on camera.
Oh man.
Like, he brought me in, like, I'm on the live. Like, you can see me, but it's just my profile picture of me and my family.
Yeah.
But not the camera turned on. So I'm tinkering around with my phone. I'm like, I don't know how to get this on.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they play my music. He hadn't even talked to me yet. So he plays Don't Stay.
Okay, yeah.
All right. It's unreleased. Nobody knows about this song. So he plays it, and he literally stops in his tracks. Like, he was talking to one of his other producer friends that's in the background, and literally stops, and he goes, uh-oh. He's like, who's this? Like, this is crazy. And so they keep playing it. He's like, man, this dude is this is nice. He's like, where is this guy at? They were like, we brought him up. He was like, man, I don't see him. Where he at? I was like, man, I cannot figure out how to turn on my camera. And they all just busted out laughing. He was like, you know what? He said, it don't even matter. He said, you sound amazing. I was like, wow. Timberland is sitting here telling me that I sound amazing.
Yeah.
Like I'm freaking out. Like, I'm not freaking out, but I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So he's like, you sound amazing. He's like, where are you from? I was like, South Bend, Indiana. He was like, nice. He's like, how old are you? And he has this thing too where he's like, if you're too old, he calls you, well, if you're almost to that point, that cutoff point, you know, where you're too old, he'll call you the what does he call us? The almost knots, or, you know, something like that.
Sure,
like,
okay.
So he is a cutoff age, you know, for artists. So
too
like, if you're
late or something.
right.
Yeah.
So if you're a certain age, you know, then he's like, maybe we can work with you as far as on the back, you know, the back scene, you know, behind the scene or whatever. So I told him my age or whatever, and he was like, man, he said, you sound great, bro. He was like, let's play this next song. So he plays 2 more of my songs. So after we get done, he critiques him. He's like, the first song is amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Second song is okay. It's good. Third song, I really wasn't too much of a fan of it. He said, but no matter it, you know, if it decreased, you know, of how much I liked it, he's like, you still sounded good. He was like, I think what needs to happen is you need to get with maybe like a younger producer, and maybe even add, he's like, and you're a good songwriter, but maybe add some younger songwriters to your team to kind of help you with your work. He was like, because you sound great, your vocal arrangements are amazing.
Yeah.
He's like, I just think you need to put that with it. And so when we got off, then his people reached out to me and we were able to exchange information.
That's amazing.
Which I thought was super dope. So then after that, people are hitting me up. Where can I find this song? Talking about Don't Stay, the first song.
Sure, yeah.
Where can I find this song? I need it. I looked everywhere and I can't find it. I'm like, y'all, I don't like, this is an unreleased song. Like, it's not out.
Yeah.
So
well, I wasn't planning on this.
Right, exactly. And so the business side of me, you know, anytime that I do a song, whether I release it or not, I'm always covering myself. I always go ahead and get it registered, copyrighted, all of that. So I was that was already done. But I was like, maybe I should just go ahead and just ride this wave and keep that momentum going by getting this record out. So that's what I did, man. And on my birthday last Friday, Don't Stay was released. It hit number 3 on the R&B iTunes charts.
That's amazing.
Yeah, awesome. It was just crazy, man. A lot of these things, man, you hope you have great success behind it. There's that word, success.
There you go. Yep.
But you never really know. You know what I'm saying? And I do everything. Like even my graphic work, like all like my videos that I do to promote everything. Like I do all of that. So I was like, you know what? Let's just go ahead and get to work and put this song out. I talked to the producer of the song. I was like, hey, are you with it? He was like, yeah, absolutely. Got one of my guys on the horn to mix and master the song. He said, yeah, send it to me. I got it. That's a no-brainer. And like I said, July 12th, we released it, man, and it's been doing pretty good.
There we go.
Doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Even got some new followers off of it after being on Timbaland's show.
I would hope, yeah.
The following went up. I reached 25,000K on Instagram and everything. So that was pretty sweet, man. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, I imagine that probably lights a little bit of a fire under you.
It does.
You know?
It does. And even performing this past weekend at the Vibes Fest, I was able to perform all of my own music. Normally, you know, I do a lot of covers and whatnot, and it just felt great to have that momentum push me forward, you know, to even performing now. And people look forward to that performance just based off of all the things that have been happening lately. So man, I'm excited. I'm excited for what's to come too. So
that is awesome. Yeah. So when you're not making music, what are you chilling listening to, or what are you doing? You know, what do you do to fill you back up?
Family. Yeah. Family is huge for me. So I'm spending time with my wife. I got my oldest, which is 9. My middle is 7, and then we have twins that are 1.
Oh wow! Okay,
yeah. So
and you're making music on top of all that.
Yeah, and they're all boys on top of that. So
all right, where's your energy coming from?
It's busy, man, and a lot of times that energy I gotta make myself do it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So I'm spending time with them, watching movies. We're playing games with them.
Yeah,
taking them to the fair. You know, taking them outside to draw chalk on the, you know, the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Just spending time with them, man. They're the reason for everything that I do.
Yeah.
You know, my wife is one of the most supportive people that I have in my life, you know, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And I need that. You know what I'm saying? So she's the reason for a lot of things that I do, you know, even when I am tired. Honey, you got to do this. You got this song to do. You got to finish. Did you finish that? Did you get it mixed? You know, so
that support is so important.
It is, and you know, I didn't have that in the past. You know, so that just in itself, man, was really huge for me and uplifting to my spirit too, because I'm like, I didn't know how much I really needed the support.
Yeah.
You know, so to get that from her, man, and have her as my best friend, my right-hand person, has been great. So outside of music, man, family, church. My mom is too. She's just right around the corner, you know, from where we live at. So it's easy to get to her and easy for her to be granny as well.
Sure, yeah, but she's loving that.
She does.
Oh,
she loves it. Always over, and you know, and even when I got stuff going on with my music, and you know, my wife is with me. My mom is over there helping. You know, if she can, she'd be over there with the kids. And I appreciate that, my mom and my wife too, because they hold it down when I'm not there.
Yeah.
And they sacrifice a lot, you know, just for me to be able to, you know, have this career.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's amazing, and you're doing amazing things.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see what comes next. And everyone out there, make sure you're checking out that single "Don't Stay" and everything else you got out there. You know,
but don't stay. Run it up.
Yeah,
please.
get those numbers up. People, come on.
Yes, purchase it and stream it.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that's a misconception that people don't understand. They're like, oh yeah, I downloaded it. Okay, but did you buy it?
Did you buy it? Yep.
It's 99 cents.
Yep.
Buy it first and then stream it as many times as you want.
One of the things that I am slamming on this show constantly and in my writing is give musicians your money.
Absolutely.
If you want independent music, you've got to pay for it.
Absolutely.
Streaming's a great way to discover music, but you gotta buy that stuff. Go to the shows, get the merch, buy the tracks.
Yep. And independent artists, you have to understand, like, we don't have the backing that major artists have.
Yeah.
So we're putting a lot of our own money into our craft. So the least you could do is spend the 99 cents to get the song. So for all of us independent creators, just not me, but still don't stay.
Start with "Don't Stay" and then go to the rest. Yeah. All right, Corey, thank you for coming on the show. It's been awesome talking to you.
Justin, appreciate you for having me, man. This is really nice, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome. All right. Good luck with everything.
Yes, sir.
You have been listening to Anywhere the Needle Drops, a product of Red Chuck Productions. Be sure to keep tabs on everything going on with this show and everything else Red Chuck over at redchuckproductions.com or by following us at Red Chuck Productions on social media. Special thanks to Hero Jr. for our theme music. You can check them out, listen to their songs, and see where they're going to be over at herojrmusic.com. That's HEROJRMUSIC.com. Also, special thanks to Paul Clemson, our sound engineer and producer. And while you're at it, make sure you visit the websites and band camps and shows of all of our guests. If you want local music, if you want independent music, or any kind of art, you've got to support them. So give musicians and artists your money. We will see you at the next episode. Until then, here's to life. Until then, here's to life. Would I pay? Yeah!